today you find me poodling along Rudall, Wiltshire and Gloucestershire on a KTM 790 adventure. I'm taking this bike out for a couple of hours today, and it's a very, very windy day, so apologies for the noise, but I really can't do anything about it. I'm trying to go as slowly as possible so as to not to get the lowest wind noise as possible, but well, apologies for that. I really can't control that. But anyway, KTM 790 Adventure. My first impressions on this bike are pretty much what I expected. So it's a very tall bike. It's got 21-inch front wheel, 18-inch rear wheel, and it's got I don't know the exact height of the seat, but it's a very high bike, very tall bike, and I would guess that around 82 centimeters, 120 millimeters. I don't know, but I think that's the value I saw. And so it's a very upright sitting position, very, very comfortable. It's got this windscreen on this bike. The windscreen is not adjustable, so I'm stuck to what I have here. It's not too bad. The airflow is deflected towards the top of my helmet, but creates a bit of turbulence at the top there, so it can be a bit noisy. The mirrors. So let's just looking at the cockpit here in front of me. Start with the mirrors. They are a very, very, very good surprise. These mirrors, actually, they don't look that bad. I'm not particularly concerned about the way mirrors look, unless they are, you know, extremely big or very horrible. But these don't look very bad, but they work extremely well. I can see everything behind me, and I can barely see my my arms on them. So 5 stars, top notch for these mirrors. I'm really happy with them. It's a very, very good surprise. The dashboard over there is it's a nice TFT dashboard. It's got loads of information. I haven't delved into everything on there, but I'll show you the riding modes in a minute. But yeah, it looks very nice. It's very easy to read, even in direct sunlight, which is, well, not now, but the sun was brighter when I took the bike out. So yeah, I can assure you, well, the sun's coming out a bit, so it's very easy to read. And wow, it's really windy. Very easy to read. It's got all the information on there: your trip, your speed, gear shift indicator, rev counter, your riding modes, your ABS settings, motorbike traction control, which is on, temperature, time. So it's all on there. Air temperature, so not engine temperature. So yeah, everything is on there. It's a very, very easy to read dashboard. And the handlebars are, cheers mate, the handlebars are very, very wide and comfortable. So you've got the normal KTM buttonage going on here, which it's very easy to use the set of buttons here to control the dashboard over there. Fuel tank is quite funny because although the fuel tank is here, it's not very high. I think it has 22 litres, I'm not sure. I'll put the figures up on the screen. But the fuel goes, if you see these black things here on the side, on both sides, that's where the tank goes all the way down. So it fills from down there all the way up here, and that means that it can they've managed to put a bit more fuel capacity on it, and also lower the center of gravity of the bike a bit, which makes it for a very easy ride. So this particular bike comes with 3 riding modes: street, rain and off-road. At the moment I am on street, and which is the default or the de facto riding mode. You don't want to be on rain unless it's really pouring down, or off-road if you're, of course, going off-road. But right now street, and it has so this engine is a parallel twin 799cc. It delivers 95 brake horsepower, 70 kilowatt, sorry, and has maximum torque of 88 newton meters. But those are the numbers. So the way the engine behaves compared to compared to my F800 GT, for example, which is slightly less power, 90 brake horsepower, slightly less torque, 86 newton meters. But compared to that, this bike delivers power in a more kind of immediate way. It's more rough, it's more grunty in the way it delivers the power. So from anywhere in the rev range, it feels like you have all the power in the world. You just open up the throttle and it will take you to naughty speeds very quickly. That being said, I find that the throttle here is a bit too sensitive. I don't know if it's because it's on street. Of course on road it will be slightly less sensitive, but it takes a bit of getting used to not jerk the bike around when accelerating or riding, especially riding at slow speeds. The slightest movement on the throttle will get the bike going, and yeah, you can have very, very nasty surprises. And it doesn't feel very smooth. But once you start getting used to it, you just move it a fraction of a millimeter or so, and you get the right response from the engine, which is a very, very good response. The reason why I'm test riding this bike is I'm going to do the 1290 Adventure S as well sometime soon. I'm going to do a video on that, and the reason why I'm testing both bikes is because unfortunately I think it's the time to start considering replacing the GT is coming for various reasons. I'll get to that in a few videos later on, but that's something else. And I'm starting to shop around for a new bike which allows me to do long distances in a comfortable way. So and hence the KTMs. I'm trying out the KTMs, the 790 and the 1290. The 790 is small in terms of engine and power delivery, is more similar to the F800 GT, so that's why I started with it. The 1290 with the V-twin, 160 horsepower, would probably be a bit too much, but it's bigger and it would probably be more comfortable for longer distances, so we'll see. But I digress, back to this bike. So like I said before, comfort, the sitting position is very upright, will allow you to do quite a few hours before you need to stop to rest for a while. Your back will not hurt for many hours, I think. But the seat is a bit hard. I suppose it's a KTM feature, hard seats, but the seat is a bit hard. Although after about a couple of hours it still feels hard, but it doesn't feel too uncomfortable, so I don't have numb bum cheeks. The bike handles beautifully. It's got the massive 21-inch front wheel and a smaller 18-inch rear wheel, but it handles beautifully. It corners very well, although you have to be used to it to riding these sorts of adventure bikes, but it corners completely different to the GT, of course. I had a couple of sphincter tightening moments, doing a couple of tighter bends, but that's fine. But as you can see, cornering here is a doddle. It leans very well. And the gearbox is very, very smooth. It doesn't have a gear shift assist, that's BMW's word, what's it called, quick shifter. It doesn't have any quick shifter up or down, but the gearbox is very smooth. And again, once you get used to the gear ratios, when you need to gear up or down, it is butter smooth, and the bike just responds immediately. So there's no lack of power on this engine, for sure, on anywhere you may be on the rev range. So I'm really happy with the engine, 5 stars to it. And it's not scary powerful, so it's smooth for long distance riding. It can get you out of any situation easily, overtaking, accelerating from a traffic light, from stop. I mean, it's a very, very nice engine. And like I said, the reason why I'm looking for to try this bike and for a new bike is because I want to do longer distances in a more comfortable way, especially for the pillion, and that's not the case on the GT. Very easy to ride at slow speeds once you get used to the sensitiveness of the throttle. The engine sound and the stock exhaust sound are nothing to write home about, but I'm quite happy with that. I don't really care whether it sounds too loud or not. Actually, I don't like very loud bikes. So engine sound and stock exhaust sound, 5 stars there as well. So as you know, I commute daily on my motorcycle, and a new motorcycle would also have to be good for commuting, and that's why I'm more keen to get a mid-sized engine bike like an 800 instead of a bigger 1200 V-twin or boxer engine from BMW or anything like that, because 90% of the time that I ride the bike, I'm not going to be using... Actually, I will never be using all that power on a 1290 V-twin or a 1250 boxer engine, for example, from BMW, on their big cruising and touring bikes. So the 800cc range, to me, is the ideal range, because it not only has enough power to ride for long distances. 95 brake horsepower is more than enough on this bike to take me anywhere with the pillion and the luggage, but also it's the ideal engine size, the ideal bike size for commuting. Most of the time I'll be doing 40, 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, so I don't need 160 brake horsepower to do that. And when I'm traveling, if I'm doing the scenic roads, I'm not going to go fast anyway, because I want to enjoy the views and the trip. And if I'm on a motorway, 95 brake horsepower is more than enough to do motorway speeds comfortably. So this is, to me, the ideal size for a bike and for the engine and power. This engine delivers power beautifully. It's available throughout the rev range. Right now I'm doing 4,000 RPM, 5th gear, 50 miles an hour, open the throttle and off she goes. So it doesn't even complain. This is exactly what I want. My only concern, and the only thing that might not make me buy one of these, is the passenger, the comfort for the passenger, space out on the back, and the ability to carry a lot of luggage. With KTM's panniers and the big bag that I have, I suspect I wouldn't have any issues in the luggage department. This particular bike, the standard KTM 790 Adventure, does not have seemingly a lot of space for the pillion back there. I know the 790 Adventure has a lot more space. Look at this, she corners beautifully. Has a lot more space back there, so that might be a better option. So riding the KTM 790 Adventure in traffic is very easy, actually. It's a wide bike. It's a big bike, but it's very easy to ride. So not what's the word? It's not threatening, not intimidating at all. Even if you're not very experienced in riding in traffic or riding for that matter. It's a tall bike. So you will be, if you're not at least 5'10", 5'11", I suppose you'll have trouble putting your feet on the ground when you stop the bike. I can't really flat foot both my feet. I'm 5'11", but that's 182 centimeters roughly, and I can't put both my feet flat on the ground. But it's not intimidating, at all. I can easily put one foot on the ground and put the balls of my other feet on the ground on the other side. So not a big problem. But if you're slightly shorter, you might want to get a lowered version. I'm not sure what the seat height is on this one. Wow, it's very windy. I nearly came off the bike now. These gusts are horrible. So I'm not sure what the seat height is on this one, but yeah, if you're not very tall, if you're not tall, then you might need to get a lower version of a bike or a lower seat. So yes, pootling around in traffic is very easy on this bike. The brakes work very well, front brake and rear brakes. They work very well. Single disc at the back, twin discs at the front, KTM branded calipers. Do an excellent job of stopping this bike. So yeah guys, these are my first impressions on the KTM 790 Adventure, and hopefully we'll be able to ride the 790 Adventure sometime soon. The Adventure S, sorry. I'm also going to do this 1290 Adventure S sometime, and be able to then compare. Well, I don't think that they are actually comparable because they're not on the same league, but yeah, to get an idea of what the main differences are between them. And yeah, well, as usual, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you've liked it, and I hope to see you on my next one. Until then, ta-ra!